Hello, my many friends, and welcome to Unit 3 Hazard Assessments. Hooray! Wow, did we get a budget? This looks fancy.
I spiced things up a bit.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, hey, it's me from the future again. When I said it was gonna be 4 videos, well, I might have stretched that a bit. I might be 5. I'm the one from the future that's doing Unit 4 right now, and oh boy, it's a big old chonker of a unit, like 20 slides. So I'm doing the best I can. It's just whoa boy. So I decided I'd come in, interject a little bit, and let you know. Okay, bye bye. Well, thanks, future me. I appreciate your brutal honesty. Did I sense a Minnesota accent there at the end? I won't judge. All right, so here we have our 4 types of hazard assessments. We have our informal or ongoing hazard assessment, our field level site specific hazard, our high risk complex task hazard, our formal hazard assessments. And first, we're going to start off with informal hazard assessments. Oh, hey, I was right. Informal hazard assessments. So, informal hazard assessments essentially, like bare bones, is involves workers looking out for hazards. So, in a dynamic healthcare environment, the identification of new or uncontrolled hazards is important to workers. So, I go into a room and I survey the land. I'm like, oh, there's a spill on the floor. That is an informal hazard assessment. So, we go by our feedback loop here. So we have stop and think. Do I clearly understand my task? Am I physically and mentally prepared to do the task? What could go wrong? Famous last words. What exact job will I do and what steps are involved? Can I get assistance if I need? Step 2, identify. What hazards are present and visible in the work area right now? Is there a hazard to myself or others? What could or has changed that could create a new hazard? Could the other workers, equipment, or conditions pose a hazard to me? Number 3, assess. What could happen? How bad could it be? How likely is it going to happen? We're going to go through that in Unit 4. Number 4, communicate and control. No matter how severe or minor, all hazards should be controlled. Control, that's main factor. Who should I contact for help? What could I control to fix the hazard? Will the control affect another part of the task? Who should I report this to? Then, number 5, start or resume work. Is it safe to do my task now? If yes, let's get it done. So, how does the informal hazard assessment process support worker health and safety? Well, us at ground level, we can see things as they happen. We're one to one. We're in the minutia of everything, so we can see it, we can react to it, and we can respond to it immediately. So I always tell students when I get them, I'm like, protect yourself, protect your partner, protect everyone, and really say something. Like, I come across folks who are like blind to hazards like this, and they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with the paperwork. It's our responsibility to get stuff done. It's our responsibility actually to encourage people to do this. We need to get more involvement. Don't put on like hazard blinders. Just be like, oh yeah, no, that's been like that forever. Say something. Do something about it. Uh, Life would be so much better with it. And also, the informal hazard assessment also plays into the one of the workers' rights, the right to refuse. So, informal hazard assessments play an active role in the legislative requirements regarding dangerous work and the right to refuse. Occupational Health and Safety Act, Part 4. So, what is dangerous work? It's dangerous work that would normally put a stop to work, a situation that the worker isn't properly trained, equipped, or experienced. What would a worker do in a situation of dangerous work? If a worker is faced with dangerous work situation, the worker has the right to refuse. And if the worker refuses work, then based on the belief that it is dangerous work, the worker needs to inform the supervisor or the employer immediately. The supervisor or employer must fix the dangerous condition. If other worker is assigned to that task, the employer or supervisor needs to inform the new worker of the refusal and why it was refused, why the employer slash supervisor doesn't think it's dangerous, and that the new worker has the right to refuse. So that's also a very poignant legal standing on that. So these are so important because it gives us, the workers, the tools to say this is dangerous and something needs to be done about it. And just sitting here drinking my Mountain Dew and eating pizza, contemplating my life's decisions, I can't believe I never thought of this, but informal hazard assessment just means no form. There's no form to an informal hazard assessment. It's that simple. Oh my goodness, mind blown. But do you know what does have a form? Pretty much everything else, including field level hazard assessments or the work site specific hazard assessment, field level hazard assessment. They're both different names, same thing. So, a field level hazard assessment is a documented hazard assessment carried out by individuals or a group of workers immediately before starting a non routine task or work at temporary work sites. So, when a worker is required to perform non routine maintenance or repair on equipment, when a worker is at a temporary site, like if you're going to like a construction area, when there's new construction or installation at an existing facility, when contractors are on site, when new work processes is introduced, and prior to updating the formal hazard assessment, that's a different hazard assessment, when existing work processes or operation changes, and prior to update the formal hazard assessment. So, completing a field level hazard assessment, it's pre-task, so it can be reviewed before the work even starts. When the hazards have been documented and identified, then the next step is how to put in controls. And really, the controls must be in place before the work starts. When you do this kind of documentation, it needs to be signed and dated by the worker so that, when the supervisors too, so that everyone acknowledges that there are hazards and the controls have been put in place, and that's things are as they should. All right, we're taking a field trip here for a second. So, doing these classes, everyone would say controls, and I'm like, what's a control? I don't know. So, straight from Google, showing the results for safety controls. What are 5 types of safety controls look like in practice? So, elimination is physically remove the hazard, substitution, replace the hazard, engineering controls isolate people from the hazard. Administrative controls change the way people work. I know administration controls is called soft controls. Personal protective equipment, PPE, protect the worker. So, top to bottom, top one being the most important, the most effective, bottom one being not so good, but it's there just in case. Oh no, my dude. Looks like you need a field hazard assessment. Oh dear. So here we have, when should site use when should sites use site-specific hazard assessments? Have conditions change? No, carry on with the work. Carry on, be calm. Be calm, carry on. Yeah, jive. If yes, then you must complete a site-specific hazard assessment. Review and evaluate to ensure control is effective. Communicate if necessary. Update the formal hazard assessment, and that beast we're going to get into in Unit 4. That's like such a big, meaty unit. Oh my goodness. I'm a little intimidated. Is a site specific assessment needed for your facility? Well, there is no assignment this unit, so this is your assignment. What do you think? Is a site specific assessment needed for the facility? Yeah, of course. It's needed for everything. Uh, Work is an ever changing dynamic structure that is always morphing into something new. We're getting new equipment all the time. Sometimes it's like, hey, we're going to go to the roof today. And you're like, I've never been there before. Let's do an assessment. So here we have the big scary one, the formal hazard assessments. Feedback loop again, overall operations, develop, implement, monitor, communicate. Very simple. So formal assessments are done so employers can mitigate the risk that the task hazards have on workers. The process of completing hazard assessment provides employers, supervisor, and workers with a systematic method of determining which hazard pose a greater risk to workers, then put control measures to eliminate or reduce the risk. Uh, Basically, workspaces in continuing care, they're constantly changing all the time. So often changes can occur and we didn't really foresee. So we have to make accommodations for that. That's how we document it. Those changes can be common, so like a new resident moving into the facility, or even rarer than that, like we get a big piece of equipment, a new oven, a new dishwasher. Either way, those changes affect the hazards in the workplace, and it would be impossible to consider every possible hazard when initially creating their formal hazard assessment. I thought I was losing my dang mind, but apparently I don't have a slide for the high risk complex task hazard assessment. So we're going to use our friend doing the big old yikes. Uh, so I'll briefly tell you what a high risk complex task is. A task assessment, sorry. So, a high risk complex task hazard assessment is a documented hazard assessment that is carried out when a more detailed hazard assessment is warranted due to the high risk or complexity associated with the task. Some examples of situations where high risk complex task assessments may occur at your workplace are when a task results in reoccurrent incidents or injuries. So, if people keep getting hurt doing that task, when a task can result in significant injury or consequence, like my dude doing that thing to that propane tank, when a worker is required to perform high risk maintenance or repair on equipment, maybe maintenance going up on the roof on an icy day, yeah. When a new complex work processes is introduced, when a worker is required to do something not often part of their routine. So prior to starting work on a high risk complex task, a hazard assessment should be completed using a high risk complex task hazard assessment form. Doing so improves the worker's ability to identify and eliminate hazard conditions before they lead to health and safety incident. The forms of typical task hazard assessments can be used. However, these forms are often not detailed enough when high risk complex tasks are involved. So the high risk complex task must be broken down into several distinctive steps because of the high risk and complex nature of the task. The hazards for each step are assessed separately and controls are put in place forming the basis of work process procedure. A complex high risk complex task hazard assessment form must be signed and dated by the workers involved and supervisor to confirm that they are aware of the hazard and understand how the hazards will be controlled. Examples are confined spaces, or use and disposal of cytotoxic drugs and waste. And would you look at that? Look at my wrist. We've come to the end of Unit 3. It's short and sweet. Just little dabble into all the forms and assessments we could look forward to. The formal assessment in Unit 4. That one big. That I went like half the entire textbook. So, did I miss anything? Let's double check. Amber, tell me anything I missed.
Nope, we good daddy-o.
Fantastic. Well, I'll see you guys in the next video. Ta ta!